Access Control webinar. Good afternoon, everyone. I should say good morning, and thank you for joining us. My goal is to inform and interact within a 30-minute window of time or less, which hopefully will include a questions and answer session at the end. Please be sure to mute your phones, and we will have the computers muted on our end so that we can proceed without interruption. I do apologize in advance for doing all of the talking initially. I have several team members on the call today to support us, so if you have a question, please simply create a chat, and we will respond as time allows at the end of the webinar. If we are interrupted and cannot continue due to an unforeseen technical issue, please know that we will switch to an email communication to let you know whether we can continue and what steps we have to take to get reconnected. And if we do have a prolonged interruption, we will make other arrangements and contact you within a few hours. With that said, as businesses begin the re-entry into the new normal stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic, we continue to provide solutions to help ensure the safety, security, and wellness of our clients. Today, we're talking about access control, which may be useful for your team. We are also actively working to address many other areas of client concerns like temperature detection, video solutions, managing occupancy levels, and environmental controls. As you can see on the screen here, we are a company that provides life safety equipment in the form of burglary, fire, temperature detection, all types of environmental and controls that allow us to turn on lights, locks, and thermostats. And now we are also able to offer network services. So if we can help with your network and the protection of that network, Heron Managed Services can also help with that. We would like very much to set a time to chat about your unique situations regarding any of these solutions. This slide is a good example of how we typically start our conversation with clients when talking about access control. We won't have time today to go into depth, but I wanted to share this as you may begin to think about these things. Access control can be complex to deploy and maintain. If we do our job, we will make the entire process easy to deploy and easy to use. We highly recommend an in-person or virtual visit to help determine what is the best solution for you and your situation. We're doing many virtual appointments a day, so please do let us know if that would be helpful. Please keep in mind that today I'll be showing some features from just a few of the options that you have when thinking about access control. I've tried to stay as broad as possible and equipment agnostic as possible, so please know that we can do other things such as Active Directory integration and many others that could be valuable to you and your situation. Our intent is to give you an idea of some features and benefits that our clients are using today. Access control is one of my favorite systems to deploy, as it is a physical deterrent to improve the security of a facility. It is also a fantastic business tool with so many useful integrations. When an access system is properly deployed, you will not have to change keys again, which immediately creates cost savings over time and improves security the day that you start using it. You can direct traffic where and when it needs to be to keep your location secure. The front door could open at 8 a.m. if someone has already come in for the day, while keeping the back entrance locked throughout the day and only allowing people who have been granted access into either or both of those locations. Many of our clients secure the exterior front entrance and the entrance from the lobby to the office so that the people can come in and out of the weather, but no further until they're granted access. With access, you can control the doors you wish to, and then you can determine who should have access to that door and when. If we pick the right system, it will be scalable, allowing you to move even in increments of only one door at a time. You can easily run reports to determine who has access and what their patterns have been. And as you will see, the systems integrate very well with other valuable management tools such as video, security, and fire systems. On the screen now, you'll see this is a typical design. You can imagine controlling 4 doors in your location. Note that these doors could be in one building or in multiple buildings. These doors could be many different locations in many different cities. For most of our clients, each door is different than the last. In the configuration, it is common to see integration with intercoms, and where automatic doors are present, integrating with that function. Each door is connected to your network and then will be manageable via your computer and mobile devices. Each door can run on its own schedule, and you can of course control who and when these doors can be accessed. Now I think it'd be helpful to discuss some options for how to interact with your access control system. So on the screen here, you'll see 3 main ways that you can interact with your system. Our phones and mobile devices have made getting a real return on your investment a reality. There are 3 main ways to manage and use them, and on the far left, what you see here is the web user interface. If you can get to a browser, whether it's Safari or whether it is the Explorer app, whatever you use to get to a browser, you're going to be able to manage your access control system. They are continually improving the interface. Just the other day, I got on and there was a great new feature that wasn't there the other day. That's one reason we really like programs that are based on cloud support. It's great for users that are at the admin level that manage their site, and it gives you the ability to do full configuration of your system. Now, obviously, any mobile device is going to become a workstation for you in dealing with your system. The next option is the mobile app. This is probably one of my favorite pieces of this particular line. You can do most of the things that you need to do right from a very simple app, and you really can't get yourself in trouble, which is something that a lot of our users really appreciate. It gives you real-time access to events, as you'll see in a moment, and we can also even look at the live video playback of any video associated with any door. You can search for very specific events, and you can, of course, suspend user access rights. So heaven forbid you have a scenario where you find out someone needs to not have access any longer. You simply open the app, click on the people, hit suspend, they're out of the system, and you can even be notified that they try to use their app if they do. This is perfect for any users that have the authority to do management on the system. Lastly, the mobile credential is a fantastic tool. This is exciting because if you wish, you can get rid of your fob, your card, or any other physical credential, and you can use only your phone. There have been a lot of studies that say that people don't lose their phones and leave their phones behind. They don't drop them and not know where they're at. They are usually very aware of where their phone is at all times. Furthermore, the credential is on the other side of any PIN, password, facial recognition security that that device also has. Furthermore, when we add a mobile credential to someone's phone, it is very specific. It connects to that phone so that if you remove that phone from your network, it can no longer work on your system. Whether they try to reload that app or whatever they may try to do, the phone will never work on your system again. So very secure. So I'm going to show you how that works. It also gives you some additional benefits of being able to push out notifications to the end users. Also, one very, very neat thing is it can get you away from the need to have a physical reader on the door. I pre-recorded a quick video of some of these, and I'm going to share that with you now. So what I've done here is I've simply done a screen record of my mobile phone. So this is my phone. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to tap on that Site Access app, and the app is going to load up, and you will see the event screen present right away. So if you want to know more, you can click on any particular event to see such things as connected video. So you'll see this is going to go out, it's going to connect to my NVR, and it's going to pull the video that matches the read of Tony coming into the office. So if I want to confirm that that was actually Tony, I can zoom in just as you would on your phone in any other app and see that yes, in fact, that was Tony coming in. And one neat thing that we're doing now, a lot of people are trying to think about how they can make sure that their employees are following all safety protocols like wearing masks and making sure that they're taking their temperatures and logging in as they should. And as you can see, I was able to quickly switch to a high resolution video and confirm all of those things. So as you see here from the same app, if you are an authorized user, you can click on the people and it will show you everyone that has access. And again, heaven forbid we need to get rid of Mark here. You can suspend him, or Brian, you can suspend him, and they will no longer have access to the system. And again, what's more, you can have a report and let you know that they are in the system. You can also simply go to the door of your choice, any door that you have authorization to, and click momentary unlock, and the door will open. So this is something where you're off site, but you know the person there should be allowed in. You can let them in if they have forgotten their phone or their credential. All right. So next, I'm going to show you the mobile credential, and you'll see that here on the screen. The first one I pressed was the Site Access app. The mobile credential is what you would add to employees or anyone that wants to have the mobile credential. And when you press that app, you'll see that it opens up and it gives you the choice of which door, and we have chosen the default of the main entry. You press the green button and you're in. The door unlocks, and it also logs who used that door. Furthermore, we can program buttons, and as you can see here, you press that button It's a virtual button. We just locked down the facility. So the entire school, the entire building just locked down, or we could have turned on a light. We could have played a message. We could have triggered any other relay for any scenario that you might imagine. Also, the notifications tab could be used to send out a notification to that user and say, hey, please keep in mind, wear your mask. So very useful tool right there from the app. The browser interface is a powerful tool, and we could spend a lot of time on it. So what I've done here is I've boiled it down to just some minimum features and pre-recorded it as well, just for time's sake. So this is the example of the browser interface that will give you, play there, give you an interface that will give you control of your system for wherever you happen to have an internet connection in a browser. So you'll see that you have the tabs across the top, and you have the tabs on the side for more features. The Events tab is currently open, and that allows you to quickly move through and see recent activity, and can even let you see the last time someone was in and whether it was actually them. You'll see in a moment that when I click on Scott, it puts his picture on the left so that I can see that it's Scott, and I know who I'm going to be looking for. Again, this is great for anyone that may not know all of the employees, but they care about what they're looking into at this moment. So I hovered over it. It said, yes, you have video. So I right-clicked and I hit play. The browser has the ability to send you low-quality images so that it gets you the information quickly. And I can tell you right off the bat, I know Scott. So I can see that Scott came in, and I saw that he was wearing his mask, and that's the only part of that clip that I care about. But I could also click on high resolution and change the image to high resolution if that is something that is important. So all of the features that most people are looking for tied to an event available right there through the app. Next, what you're going to see is that you have the ability to do more with event history. For instance, I can say between the dates of X and Y, something's very important to me and I want to find it, and it had to do with a couple different individuals. So I'm thinking Steve may have had something to do with it, may have been Scott, may have been Devin, and I click off of that, and then in a moment I'm going to click on search, and then what you're going to see is I have the ability to instantly see between the X and Y date all of the entries that those people have, and of course the associated video. And in this case, it's a very simple, very inexpensive camera that is not connected to an NVR. So I did want to point out, you do not necessarily need a video system, or you do not have to replace a video system in order to get those benefits. Next, in the People tab, you can clearly see who has access and at what level. People can store pictures. You can have license plates or other relevant data that may help you with the management of that person. It's common for folks to have codes or credentials, even passwords stored in the secure database for managing their team. So all of that information is right there. And as you'll see in just a moment, you can even send a notification to a specific person or all people as long as they have that mobile credential in order to communicate things that have to do with security through that secure channel. I'm clicking on reports here, and just know that there are more reports than I can imagine covering. It's really one of the neat things that comes with a system that's provided as a service, as we do access control here. When someone comes up with a report that's great, that helps them, that flows down to my users so they can utilize those reports. Obviously, if you have one door, as you see demoed here, or if you had 100, you can choose the door, and if you are authorized, you can view the video at that door live. You can momentarily unlock that door, and you see the status go live. And in this case, we unlocked a door, and all of that was logged, by the way, in the events, even when you're using your app or a interface. One of the fun things that we do is also control where elevators can go and when they can go. So I just wanted to point out that is something that can also be done as well using the browser. Okay, so there's a lot to think about, as you will see on this in just the next few slides, when we effectively deploy an access control system. So some things to consider that I really wanted to cover is really we should be thinking about the door types, what type of frames they have, what type of building occupancy that you have, and what is your occupancy. Is this an interior door, exterior door? Is it a double door or a single door or a set of multiple doors? If there are large doors, these can have a lot of considerations just because of the sheer size and weight of the doors. Does the door have a vertical rod, whether it's internal or external? Are there ADA operators that are integrated? Then what about the mounting of the equipment and the cabling considerations? This becomes very important for a lot of folks for aesthetic reasons and functionality reasons. If a door goes to close and the wrong hardware has been used and it hangs up and drags and you can't trust it, you're not getting the full benefit of a properly deployed access control system. There are also fire-rated doors. A lot of people don't know that. If there's a door connected to a fire stairwell, it is more than likely, if you open the door and look on the inside hinge on the door leaf itself, you'll see a little bit of a tab that indicates this is a fire-rated doors. You don't just drill and make changes on fire-rated doors willy-nilly. There's things to consider. So those are all things that we're going to partner up with you and look at there. I don't have the time to spend on that I would love to spend, but do reach out if you've got questions. We are a source for you on making sure that we do those things correctly. I was going to spend some time showing all kinds of different equipment. The more I thought about it, I knew that I wanted to have an effective and quick communication with everybody. Today, I sold it on just putting a bunch of stuff up on the screen here. With the exception now, thanks to mobile credentials, of the keypads and reader options, there is some form of everything that we're seeing on the screen involved in every decision on every door. So please just know that if you're working with a partner that understands all of the different vendors that are involved in all the different types, and in a moment I'm going to be talking about codes, how that all ties together, you're going to get a solution that has the door open properly, closed properly, and it should not be something that is creating a headache for you to manage. So again, just a partial list of equipment that we're going to properly be installing. And the main thing to keep in mind is that most folks are doing retrofits here on existing doors. So even though you're only doing 3 doors in the same building, I would not be surprised if all 3 doors had different frames and different leaves and different code applications to consider. So considering all of those options and bringing our experience to bear is going to help you make a great choice the first time. All right. One of the things that a lot of people have been asking me to talk about is contactless options. So in my mind, it doesn't have to be electronic. Some people are coming up with some interesting ways to open doors. So on the screen here, I pointed out a couple of things I've seen out there where you're able to use your arm or sleeve. Obviously, it still has a component of touching. Then, of course, you have some things I've actually seen now out. It's been interesting to see these deployed. Little tabs on the bottom, which is a little bit better, I think, than using your arm. But obviously, these can be a little bit difficult depending on the shoes you're wearing. Hopefully, you're not wearing flip-flops trying to use these things. And then you do have the electronics, which usually start with some type of automatic opener, as you see depicted here. Lots of different options for those. We have to choose the right one that matches. In this case, you see, whoops, sorry, hit the wrong button there. Get us back to where we were. So here you'll see a metal frame and you'll see a solid core wood door. So that works with this opener. So depending on the type of door you have, most times you can get that door open and shut electronically. So one of the things that has become popular is the wave to open. In the past, like at a grocery store, if you walk up to the door and you have a motion detector that just opens the door, this can be a problem because people walking down a hallway will trigger that, and it's a door opening and closing that you don't want to open or close. So this requires that you get close and wave your hand in front of it, and then the door will open. And of course, another door option here where you have an aluminum frame and another wood door with a glass insert and a different type of wave to open will help you accomplish a contactless scenario. So obviously, we'd love to talk more to you about what you're trying to accomplish and see how we can work together to reach your goals. So most of our clients are surprised at first to know that access control of doors is highly regulated by the same codes referenced for fire systems. It's very important to understand the code completely so as not to create a dangerous scenario for someone trying to exit through a means of egress. It's also incredibly important to not create liability issues when limiting access. A company that understands these things will be certain that all equipment and the design itself meets the intent of the applicable codes. Again, as a business owner, this should be something that we're really thinking about. Let's not create a scenario where we're creating liability. On the screen here, what you see is the NFPA 101, which is the Life Safety Code, the NFP 72, which is the National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code, the International Building Code, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, all of which govern how you can deploy access control systems. In just a moment, when I talk about budget, usually the way that folks are installing these systems for less is they are not observing these codes, or they do not understand these codes. And that's something that we're going to help with. A couple words on integration. And the ability to do so makes your overall security much more effective. If we add access control to video and to your security systems, all three systems will be more effective. If done properly, you should expect this to save you time and money and create a much safer environment for your team. Integrating video is easy to see. You've seen it in some of these brief demonstrations. Another typical integration, especially during the pandemic, is to integrate with ADA or automatic door operators for contactless openings and closings. Also, it's important to note that we can supervise whether or not that door is actually open or closed, so that you don't have a door open when you don't want it to be, or open for longer than you want it to be. Some other subtle integrations to consider would be controlling whether someone can use a certain piece of equipment. So if there's a large mechanical piece of equipment that's dangerous to operate, that you have requirements for operating, you can make sure that only users that have been given access at that level, who have received training to operate that machine, can use that machine. We can also trigger a school or a building lockdown via a virtual button or through the browser, and we can open doors in a fire or other emergency scenario. You can regulate temperature during certain times, adding intelligence to fans or HVAC equipment, and as you can imagine, there's many more options. So in closing up here, we want to leave you with a couple things: resources and just a quick discussion on budget. So the budget discussion, I think, will be helpful, but one of the main things I'd love to do is give you some things that you can take away and read what others have done. So what we have on the screen here is several different types of businesses that are deploying access control. And what I like about this list is I can actually provide you with a PDF. So just reach out to us and let us know. That is a case study on each one of these. And what you're going to see is there's large deployments in healthcare facilities with hundreds of doors. There are sites that have one door of access control at one building. There's sites that have 50 different buildings, but only one door in each of those. There's some that have 5 buildings with 2. There is everything from healthcare to just basic businesses. So lots of good stuff here. Manufacturers, people that are actually doing things that are probably similar to what you're doing. We have some good write-ups and good references. And of course, this is just a partial list. So I urge you to take advantage of those resources, and we'll be happy to provide those to you. Okay, so budget is always a tough thing to discuss, because the people that are getting the types of results that you would expect are different. They're not you. And their situations could be unique, and all of those things can affect the budget. But just a good ballpark is what my goal was to provide you today. And I think that if you're trying to put in one door of access control, that $1,800 to about $2,300 per door is a very good price range. And really what that includes is everything you need to have a functioning access control system as a service. This includes the hardware, the cabling, the controllers, the setup and training, and what I definitely think that you would agree would be a craftsmanship installation, one that makes you feel like somebody really took time and installed those cables properly on your door. Some doors that can use strikes and other types of equipment could be $500 to $800 less per door, depending on your existing hardware. So that's a pretty big range. But interior doors typically are not as costly to control as exterior doors. Please do keep in mind that many factors can increase cost increase, such as double doors, fire-rated doors, concrete filled headers, specialty doors. These types of things all have to be considered. I don't know if we've met a door yet we couldn't control one way or the other, but it definitely could affect the type of equipment that we need. Do keep in mind additional costs of labor and overhead and pre-deployment costs depending on the size of the system, where the installation is, and then of course testing and training depending on how many people you need trained. Some of these things affect cost. So please do keep those things in mind. And one of the other things that I want to get out there to just talk about, because a lot of people ask me, Brian, can we do it for less? And so one way to do it less is to remove the intelligence, the controller piece, and just have basically an on-off situation. That's one way to reduce it. But I think that when we review the business tools and the benefit and the return on investment you get from the management tool, I think you're going to be really excited to use the intelligence and not leave that behind for cost sake. The other way, honestly, that we see costs being less is people either using non-code compliant equipment. For instance, on many doors, you need a pneumatic button and not just a plain button to meet the intent of the code, or they are unaware and ignorant of the code and just aren't putting in what they should. We see a lot of little small lever paddles that get installed. No matter what you do, that does not meet the code because it doesn't extend 3/4 across the door to give someone enough leverage to exit. You see it all the time, but it is not code compliant for our clients. Another way is craftsmanship, and the installation of the cabling and the hardware itself either creates issues with the doors opening and closing consistently over time, or it's just done in a way that I don't think a lot of clients would want installed at their site. And all of those things can reduce costs. And of course, we would not recommend those things. So I think we're doing pretty good on time here. Took a little bit longer than I was hoping. Danny, if you are out there, I know that you've been collecting some questions. I would like to open it up. And of course, if anybody would like to jump into chat and ask any questions, I would love to answer those for anyone.
Yeah, Brian, I've got a couple questions that have come through here via the chat. So I'm gonna go down the list here for you, okay? So one question is best practice on deleting a key holder. What's the best practice on deleting a key holder?
So if we have an intelligent system, that's a great question, by the way. If we have an intelligent system, that is as simple as initially I would recommend suspending them. You just go in, click suspend. This is a 5-second action. And at that point, you have to ask yourself, is this a permanent delete? Most clients like suspending so they collect the data, and that also allows them to be able to search and run reports on that person. You can even say, if it's Danny that we delete, you could say, not only am I suspending him, I want to know if Danny tries to get in, so send me a notification via email if he does try to use it. So I'd say that's the best one.
Okay. Can you get notified that the door is propped open?
Absolutely. Prop and force monitoring is definitely a thing. A lot of folks want to know, is the door open longer than they would? This is typical for restaurants, schools, especially schools that allow food services to come in. You definitely want to know if that door is open and has stayed open longer than X amount of time.
How many users can you have at one time?
Yeah, so that used to be a question that we spent a lot of time figuring out. I'll just say this: it is thousands. If we get above multiple thousands of users, we definitely need to talk about maybe going into a more enterprise level system, which we have. But even the most basic system now, it's thousands.
All right. How simple is getting an audit trail report?
So if you were here, I know I've seen a couple people that have come in late. You saw in the demonstration, audit is instantaneous. We pull up either the app and you'll see the event trail for the day that you're in, and it can even go back days at a time. I would recommend generally searching by person that we're interested in, but it's very simple, either through the browser or through the app.
All right. Can a user have a fob, card, and mobile credentials?
That's a very good question. Yes, often people want a fob on their keychain, a card that has their picture on their waist, and they want to have that mobile app just in case that stuff gets left behind and they're across town and they want to come in. Everybody always has their phone. So yes, you can have all three or just one of anything that you mentioned.
All right. Can we program a system to allow access at certain times and not others, and by individual personnel?
So I think I understand. So yes, you can tell the system that Brian Bates can get in between the hours of 8 and 5, but no other times. Does that answer the question, Danny?
Yeah, I think this next one kind of flows into that too, Brian. So it was, yeah, allow access at certain times and not others, and by individual personnel. So you're saying specifically when you said Brian Bates, you can group those people, allow them in at certain times and not others, and you can do it individually, correct?
Yeah, and by door. So if we're allowed to
Okay.
let them in the front door, but not the server room, no problem. Yep.
So that's actually the next question. Can you allow specific people in one door and not the other? And the answer is yes. How hard is it to set up and maintain?
Oh, well, so that's, again, this is complex. There are a lot of things to think about with access control. What I would urge everybody to do is just partner with a good partner. And we would certainly like you to start with us. But the job of anyone would be to take the complex and make it easy. So the complexity usually starts with the type of door that you're wanting to control, and then flows through to thinking about how you want the doors to act given the security concerns that you have. There are even folks that have compliance issues and have accreditation issues that have to be addressed, and they have to show all of those things. We have best practices for all of the above, and really it should be simple even though it is complex. One of my favorite things to do is finish a large training and have everyone say, that's it. So if we provide this as a service, it's super easy. It can be, you can spend as much time as you want it, and we can boil it down to just send us a text, send us an email to add Danny, delete Brian. Can be done all through a co-managed solution for you. I saw in the chat here, we had someone ask, we'd like to hear about options for security on the front door of a school. So schools, it's definitely where we spend a lot of time. We're doing a lot of work for schools at any given time. And usually what schools are doing at the front door is, and most schools either have aluminum storefront or aluminum storefront frames and steel doors, or steel frames, steel doors. Whatever it might be, typically what we'll do there is we will pick one door. One interesting note about schools is schools are usually very smart about the budget. They are doing just a few doors, and they change the keys one last time, and they require that all employees and students come in as few doors as possible so that everyone is parking in the right areas and that everybody has the most amount of eyes on the areas, so that we quit using all of these different doors. And so they'll usually pick a front door, a door that goes to the playground areas, a door that goes in and out of food services. But essentially, the budget that I provided moments ago is a good place to start for controlling that door. And then they're adding a very simple intercom or a very simple video component to that as well, to allow someone at the front desk or multiple locations in the office to simply buzz people in via the app or a button right on the phones. I have lots of sites we could take those folks to show them how that works. Be glad to help you. Schools are a passion of ours, so glad to help schools wherever I can. Okay, Danny, I think we're out of time. Are there any more questions? Maybe take one more question.
I'm going to combine these last two because there's last two. What is the average number of doors most people control, and do you see more exterior or interior doors controlled by your customers?
You know, I'm going to have to say, and Danny, you and Scott could certainly chime in, but I really think that your average is more like 1 to 4 doors than it is anything more. Certainly we have sites with hundreds of doors with, we have clients that have access control doors in multi-cities, multi-states. But what you see most of is 4 doors or less. I think that's the good average. And as far as interior, exterior, I think overwhelmingly it's an exterior door that is controlled. And then it usually moves towards keeping the right people in the right areas. One of my favorite things about access control that you can accomplish is you can reduce chance encounters with people that shouldn't be in areas. And those are typically the doors that we're controlling.
That's all we've got as far as questions go.
Okay, awesome. Well, obviously, thank you, everyone. If you're an existing client, I also thank you for trusting us with your security and partnering with us. Please reach out and let us know, everyone on the webinar, how we can be of service, and we look forward to talking to you again on another new topic. Thanks and have a great day.